Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Write or Die Show. I'm your host, Randi-lee. On the show, we interview other writers and we talk about mental health from their personal journeys. If you have not already hit that like and subscribe button, go ahead, do that now so that you never miss an episode. So hello, everybody. Clearly I am not in my office. And there's a pretty good reason for that, actually. There was a giant wasp. So I opted for not only taking my equipment out, but I also took my cat and then I shut the door. And I said to my husband, I said, because that's where the air conditioner is. So obviously it's not circulating now. I said, honey, there's a giant wasp in my office. So the door is closed. I'm going to my room. So we are recording from my bedroom, live from my room. It's clearly much more boring than my office, actually. But that is the reason. There was a giant, like it was like giant wasp on the inside of the window, and I was just like, I was setting up, guys. I know I don't usually go this long in the beginning, but okay, I'm setting up all my stuff, and I'm watching my cat, my three-legged kitty, and he's trying to get it. I'm like, okay, it's on the other side, no big deal, whatever, right? And it keeps catching my attention because right, it's super loud. I go, oh crap, that's on the inside. And I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna close the computer, we're gonna pick that up, come here, kitty, and I skedaddled. So anyways, we're not live today, we are recorded today. I am clearly off, I don't know, probably doctor's appointment or something. That's usually the reason why it's recorded. But today, super special. I mean, everybody's a special guest, but she is special because I know her in real life. I have met her in real life. She is pretty local to me, so it's kind of cool because we don't really have that opportunity on the show too often. I think one other time in 3 years. I want to say once. So let's welcome Andrea Wehlann. Hello.
Thanks, Randy. Hi. Thanks for having me. It's nice to see you.
Yes, we've been trying to do this for a while.
Maybe 2 years, I think. But let me tell you something. If there was a wasp in my window, I would have been out of the house. So good for you for still doing the show despite the wasp in your house.
Yeah, and I'm just like trying to and when you were texting me like, hey, I can't see the link, I'm like trying to reset up my computer. I'm like, I can't even send it to you right now because I'm not even on.
I'm allergic to bees. I'd be out of the house. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm not allergic, just like owl. Plus, I was worried about my cat, right? Because he's like trying to swat at it with his one little paw, right? He's trying to swat at it, and it's buzzing, and I'm just like, oh no, I don't want you to get stung, kitty. And it was like, yeah, it's those ones, like it's wasp because it's got that long body, and then like the little piece, and then it's got the big old stinger on the back. Like a yellow jacket or something. It might be a yellow jacket.
Those big ones. Okay. Yeah. I think they have 3 stingers. There's one that has 3 stingers. One has 7. Yeah. I remember my dad pulling one off the window saying, "You're scared of this?" And I'm like, yeah.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yeah, I think it was like a yellow or something. It's one of those ones that honestly just doesn't give a damn and it's going to get you. So, yeah.
Good for you. Well, I'm glad we're still doing the show.
Yeah, it looks like a yellow jacket. That's what it looked like right there.
Really?
Yeah. So I had to run away. I very much had to run away because it was not my friend, and I wasn't down for that. So I pieced out. So anyway, Andrea, let's talk about something a little more exciting than how scary my office is right now.
Okay.
So tell us a little bit about who the heck. Okay, so for those, I said that I met Andrea, and so a few years ago we were at the local library's like author day. And so we were chatting and stuff. So that's how we met, at the local library. So, hit up your local libraries, guys. You could meet some cool people, especially on author days, because we are there and we like to meet people.
Yes, and they run about once a year. They always have a local author day once a year. So look for that, whatever city, town you're in. There's a library, there's an author day. So that was great to meet you, Randy. What surprised me and what I loved about you was the amount of books and the dedication to your writing. And I love that. I still think about that today. I do. Yeah.
And by now I have a lot more books.
How many?
I want to say it's almost 20.
Wow. What does that feel like?
It's weird because like I'll be on other people's shows and I'll be like, they'll go, oh, how many books have you written? I'm like, huh, So it's on Positive Talk Radio. You've been on there too.
Amazing show.
Love that show.
I love that show.
And so Kevin actually went on the website and he was counting. He's like 20.
Wow. That's amazing, Randy. Good for you. Like, yeah, I applaud that.
And I always say, well, between the kids' books and the adult books, there's a flow of things. Mm-hmm. It's not like I have 2,400 page books. That would be, I'd be like Stephen King or something.
I was just gonna. You were in my head there like that wasp. I was just gonna say that'd be so Stephen King of you. And he's amazing.
Yeah,
let's give a shout out to him. Yeah, me too.
Right.
I spent my childhood reading those books. I probably shouldn't have, but I did.
Oh, yeah. Me too. You know what? If you're gonna read, then just read. Like, I'm not gonna stop you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Even for kids, like if you want to read, unless it's something like actually bad or harmful, you want to read some scary stuff.
You know what? That's a good point. Yeah, it is. I would just grab his books and read them. Do you have a favorite Stephen King book?
I haven't
Not to put you on the spot, but
I know. I haven't read Stephen King for a very long time now, but as a teenager, I read them a lot. He's the only author I read as a teenager.
Me too. Oh my gosh.
I really loved the entire Dark Tower series until the end. I did not like the way it ended.
Like relationships.
Yeah, I really, but I really did like that whole series. So that was good. It keeps coming to mind, but I feel like that's just so cliche to say that one. But it was a good one. I
don't think so. I don't think it's cliche at all.
Dreamcatcher.
Dreamcatchers is a good one. Yeah, last summer I picked up another one, Finders Keepers. And that was really good. Kind of a more recent one, I think, but yeah, that was really gripping too.
All right. So back to the show.
Back to our books.
Right? Our stuff now. I'm all flustered because of the wasp, yellow jacket, whatever. The evil creature in my office.
I would have canceled the interview, so I'm happy about it.
I know. I was close. God. I was like, I am freaking out. But tell us who is Andrea?
Oh my gosh. I'm still figuring that out, but I have written 3 books in 3 years, and I'm excited about that. I'm pretty happy about that. So I published my first book, No Matter How Dark the Stain, Poems and Inspiration for the Woman in Pain, in 2021. When I heard that,
what you do? Who are you?
Oh, wow.
I know it's the hardest question of the whole thing.
See, I am love, really. If you want to break it down that simple, that's my answer.
I love that. And you're a yoga teacher.
Yeah. So when you ask that question, like, who are you? There's like one, my psychology degree. One, what I put out in the world.
Know that?
Mm-hmm. One, my psych degree. One, my yoga teacher side, my Zen side, and my author side. Was like, how do I answer this question?
Well, and then you got your mom side.
Which one?
Your mom side? Don't you have kids?
Oh, and yeah. I had a lot of pregnancies. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So then there's your mom side. There's so many sides of you.
Yeah. So it's a good question. You know, when I meet someone, I always try and think like, who are you? And you know, people that don't know that is a little bit scary to me, but it took me a long time to get some answers for that. But I think that's a good question. Who are you?
Yeah. I always try to do that one as the very first one, and it really throws people off sometimes.
It threw me off. It threw me off on my birthday, Randy.
Oh, you forgot it's your birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you. This is a great opportunity because I get to do what I love with you right now, and so that's really, really great. On 7/7 at 7:00. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think of that. And I know that you, when we were talking, you had typed in 777, and I didn't even clue in that that's what you were talking about.
Yeah, I think about that stuff all the time. Numbers, numerology, how it lines up, and
so that's more who you are because you think about that stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So let's get to the meat and potatoes here. I love meat. I grew up on eating meat and potatoes.
So did
Um,
I. So did I.
right? It's pretty classic. Um,
I think
you'd
it's
think
all
I'd
we
make that.
had. I
Yeah,
think it's
that's
all
pretty
we
much it.
had. Like when there
That's all
were
we.
farms. Yeah, there were farms, and you just got what you got, and yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
your parents gave you SWAT if you didn't eat the food.
Yep.
Do you
Eat
remember that?
everything
Or am
on
I
your
older
plate.
than you? Yeah.
My mom didn't. My mom was pretty chill. My dad was always eat everything on your plate, and I'm like, but dude, you filled it too full. Like, what the heck? I don't eat this much. I'm not you. I'm not a full grown man.
I
I
never
didn't say
thought
that
of
out
that.
loud because I was a little bit scared of my dad. But that's what I thought in my head.
Yeah. Yeah. People were
Um,
scared. Hmm.
right. So speaking of scared and trauma from our past, let's go on a journey, shall we?
Yes, we shall.
Into your past. So
Oh my.
tell us about your mental health journey.
Oh my gosh.
I know, I'm
I, you
sorry.
know,
Not really.
you know what? The whole reason I do these shows is not about me, it's about other people. And hopefully sharing my story helps other people. I mean, really, I think that's why I'm here. Um, you know, I just thought I was a bad seed and I wasn't meant for anything. And um, yeah, that I lived like that for a long time. Like I was a victim, like I was trash.
So
And
was there a reason you felt like that? Were there people telling you that, or that was internal?
oh, I love it. I think external circumstances, I think having a lot of extraordinary experiences at a young age just kind of nailed that into my head. But now I see things differently. But back then, we didn't have the internet. It was just TV and what happened to you. And so
Yeah.
there wasn't a lot of information. We didn't have the internet. So how do we process things, right? Which is why I'm big on publishing my books and stuff now. It's like, don't be quiet. Don't shh, that didn't work. Like, you know, break the
Right.
silence. Like, let's come out and talk to each other and
Almost
use
like you need to
stories.
speak openly and honestly.
Right? I mean, is there any other way? It's a vibe thing. Everything is energy and it's a vibration. And so, to answer your question, I was beaten and just kicked down, and the youngest of three kids. And nothing against my family at all. It's just how I felt on the inside, but from things that happened and not having the means to process things. And yeah, so what started to happen in my life was a reflection of how I felt on the inside, which was pretty painful. And I think I tried to kill myself by 20 by 20 for sure. I just thought that was the only way. Like that's just the way you go. So I started to saw my wrist with a steak knife. And it was at that moment that I started to see that yeah, that could go and I could die, but there's also another way. And I didn't realize that before that happened. I just thought, okay, this is the past. Culture says if this happens to you, then you're this kind of a person. Um, yeah, so I started to change things around at that point.
Oh my gosh. So I did not realize that you had steak knifed in order to get to this wonderful epiphany. It is a wonderful epiphany.
It was a steak knife, but it was actually watching the shards of my skin had the striations of the steak knife. You know, it has the grooves on it,
Yeah.
and my skin started to peel away like a piece of cheese. And
Oh,
in my mind, yeah, and it was like I was like, oh, I was like, okay, I was like, fine, or like this is it, like I'm done, like had enough done, like things coming
yep.
out. But once I saw that, something else kicked into my mind, and it reminded me of something else. I don't know, like it was a big realization for me. But from that moment, it was like the Shania Twain song, like up, 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 can only go up
Oh,
from
yes.
here. And I was like, oh God, I got to keep on trucking. Okay, so here I am.
Wow. So how did you I'm a very visual person. I think most of us authors are because we have to create the whole world, no matter if it's nonfiction or fiction that we're writing. We're creating a story in a world.
Well,
So I'm picturing you in a kitchen because you said steak knife. I have no idea what room you were in, but that's what I'm picturing because you
mm-hmm,
said steak knife. I'm picturing this and you all by yourself doing that, and then I don't know how far it was, but having that realization, what did you do? How did you stop yourself from continuing? Like what happened?
mm-hmm. Once I had that recognition and the different thought process came in, it's almost like when you wake up or take the red pill, you can't go back to sleep. And so I couldn't like continue with the cutting through with that knowingness kind of thing.
Mhm.
And so I followed that, which is also the same voice inside that I followed when I was 7. I had this gift of writing poetry, writing words that I hadn't learned yet in school. So it was kind of beyond me. So, and I always wrote since 7, which is the books that I've published now. And so I listened to that voice because I kind of had a relationship with it when I'd sit by the waterfront. I wrote through all my trauma. I wrote through all the experience. I didn't know why I was writing. I just had that like flow in my hands. It just always was pouring through. Like how amazing. So when I saw that, like the blood, the skin, I was like, okay, I heard that other voice and I trusted that and I followed that because it always has been inside me.
So did you take yourself to a doctor? Did you call somebody? Did you just kind of stop and put a Band-Aid on? Like,
Yep. I just kind of dealt with it from there and kind of covered up the scars as best I can. I have a tattoo there now. But yeah, just cover up the scars and shine. Just start to shine through stuff. Like, I don't know, one step at a time, one word at a time, one breath at a time. I didn't have people to talk to about those things, and I had already, been raped, been left on a curb for dead after being rohypnol in my drink and like gang raped at a frat party and dumped on a curb.
Wait, what? Okay, now we need to go back. Mm-hmm. I mean, the whole thing, but because this is something that only a handful of people have had the courage to talk about on such a large platform, on my show, right? On something that anyone across the world can listen to. Because we've had a lot of people, I don't want to sound insensitive, but we've had a lot of people talk about depression because it is such a wide topic, like one of the most mental illnesses. But I don't think I've ever had somebody on the show that was drugged and then raped, right? So if you're okay with talking about that, I think that there is some value in talking about how, I hate the word overcome because it just sounds so tacky to me. But I think you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think you do. And I think it's why I'm here, because if there's a story and there's words for that experience, then where there's light, there can be no darkness. So then there's a chance for healing, right? So some of the poems in my book, no matter how dark the stain, my publisher didn't want to say rape or rohypnol, those kind of words. And I'm like, no. I think we've already been quiet about those things like long enough.
Yes.
Right? So they are, like, if you scroll, like, they are. There's a poem called Rohypnol and there's one called Rape. And I'll tell you a beautiful story about that, is that when I was doing a book signing at Kohl's in Wehlann, which I know you know where that is, in the Seaway Mall.
Yep.
A father had bought this for his daughter. He figured like something happened to her, but he didn't know what. And I'm like, perfect. That, like, just buy people, like, if something happened and you're not sure, just buy them this book, because I believe it's happened to me and I wrote through it, so maybe you can heal. And this the most beautiful girl, Randi, looks like a doll, was standing there with the book just crossed in her arms like this. And she's like, and she said, she came with the dad when I did the book signing, and she said, I didn't know there was words for what happened. I was like, perfect.
I have goosebumps.
I did too.
This is why we do what we do, right? This is why we write about these things, why we talk about these things.
Yeah. And I really believe that if you have the words, like, it's a process. We're not new. Like, the beginning of the book is a quote about what mimesis is. It's from the Greeks a long time ago, but there's a mind-to-mind transmission that happens from the poet. Like, if you read a poem and read the words now and from when the other person wrote it, both people are transformed. Right? And so that's what happened with that girl, because what are you going to do when that happens? We are in a rape culture. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
If there's no one saying it, how do you know how to heal yourself? How do you know where to go? Like, so we need to be sharing. But for us, like, when you and I grew up, or I'm probably older, especially today, but there wasn't these kind of books that share these stories. And, if something happened to you, women were told, like, shh, like, we don't talk about those kind of things. Like, you have to be quiet.
Not only but also, it's your fault. What were you wearing? What did you say? What did you smile? All of those other things.
And I had that too. Yeah, I was sexually assaulted in a workplace at another instance, and it was all my fault. You know, despite having employee performance reviews that like everything was fine. Once that assault happened, it turned into I asked for it. I took women's studies at university, so I must have like known before I got the job. Like the old boys network,
Yeah.
you know. But you know what? These things have happened, and I'm so blessed that they did, because when someone comes to me or walks into my yoga studio and they have a broken heart, I can meet them exactly where they're at and show them like, you're still light. Like no matter how dark, you know, there's still destiny. There's still light inside all of us. We're not what happened to us. We're not.
Yeah.
And that's so important. If no one's telling you that, you don't know. And that's what I want to tell people, is that the dark parts of your life and the light are both love. No matter,
Right? Yeah.
like how amazing is that? Like it's true. Or if not, then everything's separate from each other and the sunbeams are separate from the sun. But that's not true. And so we need to have shows like yours, conversations like this, so that the whole world can change. But Randy, imagine that those women who are sitting at home silent, shamed, you know, like feeling that way that they feel. Imagine they were writing books or singing songs or not feeling the way they were. Then what would we be reading? Like the whole world would be different.
Yeah. It's interesting that you talk about songs, because more and more artists are coming out with songs talking about this stuff. What is that girl's name? The girl that wrote Victoria's Secret. She's coming out, well, she's releasing an album soon. But she's just came out with a song about rape or sexual assault. I don't know if it was full rape or something, but she came out with something.
But Canada calls rape sexual assault, so we're not like supposed to.
Yeah,
so that's amazing to hear that. That's amazing to hear that.
And I just saw a short clip on TikTok a little bit ago on it, so I'm trying to remember more specifically, but I can't. But
it'll come to you.
Right? Probably when I'm in the bathroom or running away from another wasp.
Text me later.
Right? I'll be like, oh. But yeah, more and more people are doing that, which is so awesome. Because I loved what you said, clearly, because I threw it up there. You are not what happened to you, because I used to think the same thing for a very long time, that things that happened to me in life defined who I was, until my therapist explained that no. So and I don't know how much detail you want to share, but so feel free to tell me to shut the F up. But when this happened,
which one?
Because I'm still sorry, I'm still a little bit stuck on the getting drugs part.
The Rohypnol.
Yeah, the Rohypnol.
3 times in my life. 3 times Rohypnol. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
One in Mexico, one in Hamilton. But I was with a really good crowd, so that one was fine. And then the second year university Frosh Week, that was the one where I was carried into a frat party and dumped on the curb.
Oh my gosh. So that one, I think, is the one that I think most people need to hear. Because like you said, we're told to shush. We're told to shush, or what did you do? What were you wearing that day? So when that happened, or not necessarily when, but like the right aftermath of it, right? What kind of went through your head? What did you do? Because again, knowing what the culture was like, I mean, it's still pretty bad.
I thought it was me. I thought it was me. I thought it was all my fault. But at the same time, like I knew I was lucky to be alive, because I knew half my body was on the road and half was on the curb. And
so they literally threw you out like trash.
Out the car door, there was a bra in my back pocket and my underwear inside out. Yeah, so half, like the car door opened, and and I knew that it was drugs, because I would come in and out of consciousness. So someone was smacking my face, which is how I knew there was multiple people, because I saw a doorway full of people and then out again. And the second time I came through, someone was on top of me, you know. And anyway, I knew there was the drug because of those like slips of consciousness, and also because I couldn't lift myself off the curb. I just like kind of, I felt the coldness in my bones, but the drug was still there. So I was going in and out. So I would like just like pull a little, like army crawl. And then I had like going up to my place was like 16 steps. So yeah, but I thought it was me, but I knew something was wrong. Come Monday, I knew the people, I knew the person because they had hit on me the entire first year, and that wasn't my style. Coming from where I came from, sex wasn't my big interest. Like figuring out my life and healing my trauma, not perpetuating that in the world was kind of mine, and also wanting to die because all these things happen. Mm-hmm. But I just said, like, what happened? They're like, oh, never mind. Like, you liked it. And, just disgustingness. Yeah. And just rumors. So I'd walk down the hall and like people were snickering and saying stuff. And it was, sitting on the toilet when I got upstairs and seeing my underwear inside out and then noticing my bra was in my back pocket was, there's not words for that. It's just, you're just completely shocked on the inside. It's a moment where you're just kind of frozen and there's no words. You're just like, you can't believe it's you kind of. There's nothing prepares you.
No, definitely not. And nothing prepares you to hear about it either. Like, I was obviously very shocked. Was that before or after your attempt?
The attempt came after, because after that I was sexually assaulted in the workplace, and I started to see that there's a pattern here, and I'm the bottom line, and I was like, I'm just going to check myself out. Like, this is fucking ridiculous. No, it's fine. Sorry about that. It's my Italian. I'm not angry. I'm just Italian. Sometimes we swear when we talk.
Well, it's definitely an emotional story. Like, it's still part of the English language, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, that makes sense as to why you would feel done and feel like that was the only way out.
I just felt like it was just going to keep happening. These things were going to keep happening. I didn't, So
especially,
that's when I started.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Ask a question.
I know, it's such an emotional show, but it just, like, when you were going through that, and it's not a one-off thing, and it's like you said, it's happened more than once. Obviously, you're going to assume that it's going to continue to happen, right? And your body is going to constantly be in this high, what's the word I'm looking for? Just like,
it was just
like, just intense.
Nothing positive. Nothing positive. Everything negative. Every thought in my head was negative. Everything was fear. I did a lot of work to transform that stuff around. Really.
Yeah.
And I still do.
Yeah. And I think it's so wonderful that, I mean, that you're doing as amazing as you are. Obviously, you're pretty awesome. But
thank you.
Being a yoga teacher as well, it's so important because that you're able to share this stuff. Because I know when I was going through the yoga teacher training, and I took that the warriors training, the one for trauma and stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so intense. And I never had thought about it before I did the training, that people are going to come to class who have so much baggage, so much crap that has happened in their life. They're trying so hard, right? And yoga is very freeing in that way. I remember after my brother died and I was doing a session just in my backyard, like just by myself.
Sorry.
And I just started crying. I'm doing it. And I had never cried while doing it before. Like, I've been like, it's hard to explain, and I just started crying. And afterwards I felt so much better, because not only are you, loosening up the body, but like your mind is just being freed, or you're focusing, and so much can happen while you're on the mat. So I think it's so wonderful that you found your passion with being a yoga teacher too, because so many people can know that they can come to you then, and they don't have to say nothing. They don't have to say, oh my gosh, I have a similar story to you, but they know, and there's that connection and that understanding. And if they don't want to do a certain pose, and this is where it really gets to it, right? Like, if they don't want to do a certain pose, because some of those yoga poses are awful open. All right. They're all fully open. And so if you don't want to do a certain one, there's no pressure there, and there shouldn't be pressure. And I think for some because I've been to some certain yoga classes or even Pilates classes or whatever, and they're like, do this, and then you're uncomfortable doing it, and they're like giving you those eyes like, why aren't you doing this? But when you have this understanding, you can be there, and you've said it, you can be that light for them and let your light shine, and then their light can shine more, and you can be like, hey, you don't want to do dead bug right now? That's cool. How about you just chill out in some child's pose? That's cool.
Yeah,
right?
Let's do this or not. I always say,
Yeah.
like, you close your eyes or not, or not. Like, it's always an option, because if you have anxiety or if you have that trauma and you close your eyes, it's really, really hard. The resistance and just keeping your eyes closed for a moment, just for anybody, is really, really hard. There's resistance to everything we do, and that happens. But yoga really, the Eightfold Path, the getting my precept vows from my Zen yoga Buddhist teacher, like ahimsa, satya, steya, brahmacharya, aparigraha. It's kind of a way that I live my life, and finding the middle path, and it's really, really been everything to me. And that's what I like to show other people. And it's not me separate. It's a way of living. It's a way of thinking. It's a way of, psychology is basically a big filing cabinet. And I really believe we can handle anything. We just need to put it in the right spot in our mind, right? And so that's what I like to offer my students at Ganga Yoga. And I just opened Reiki School to help spread that kind of light too in Beamsville.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. So through all of this, or rather after all of that and the attempt and everything, and I know that you were saying, you just kind of covered up your scars and just push on. But I also know that you've done a lot of work to get to where you are. So what kind of things did you do that you found really helped?
So from the start, the very first book was the Feeling Good book by Dr. something Burns. The first step was learning how to feel good. So the steak knife is there, and I learned that there's up. Okay, so where do I go? I don't know what's good and what's bad. And I've taken those words out of my language now. But back then, that was my thinking. How do I know what feels bad? I'm really, really good at that. But how do I know the other side? And so I got a book, and it's on my bookshelf here beside me. And it has quizzes in it, and it shows you what's good, what's bad. And so I did all of that work. And, with the rape and things, the poetry helped me transform that. I have a poem in the book called Scorched, which was originally named Fucked. And that's a poem I wrote to take my power back from that situation where I was left on the curb. And so that poem is really important to me.
Yes.
Yeah. Who the fuck are you to say live or die? Like, that's the last line of it. Yeah, no, I took my power back. So I started to read books. Melody Beattie was really good, like codependent, stuff like that, because and then I found a book, Being Peace by Thich Nhat Hanh. And I heard Dr. Phil once say that for every bad thing that happens, it takes like 10 good things to kind of like smooth that over, rub that away or a little bit.
I have heard that before. I don't know if it was Dr. Phil I heard it from, but yeah, I've heard that before.
Yeah. So that's what I did. I studied Reiki. I helped people who were dying for 15 years. I did palliative care in Toronto for the people with AIDS. So I opened a nutrition store. I became a Reiki Master. I studied Qigong, Feng Shui, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I went to Brazil to learn how to save my life. I lived in New York City for 2 years just to feel beautiful and to go to the city of dreams to kind of honor that poet side of me.
And then you landed back in Niagara.
Wow. That happened. Yeah. It's not a bad place to be.
It's not.
After 9/11, I was like a little girl in a really big city, and I was like, I should probably go home. Yeah. I'm like, so.
That's true. I don't think I would want to live in such a big city. I mean, even Wehlann is getting too big now because it keeps expanding.
Okay. I was reading those statistics today, actually, because I think you're up to 57,000 there. Yeah. Or more than that. That was in 2021. So
that
population is huge.
Yeah. I know. It's getting too big and I like it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Beamsville too, like where I am, it's
Oh,
getting
Beamsville
big too.
is popping. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
growing huge. Yeah. Um,
yeah.
okay, so what have you found that was the most this is gonna be really hard to pick something, so it's okay if it's more than one something.
Hmm.
But what was something that was the most powerful in the transformation? In becoming
Well,
a butterfly.
that I was in control of my mind, and that my mind is a liar.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. So I've never actually nobody has posed that question to me in the way that I posed it to you, but I think if they did, that would be my answer too. And
Like
I don't think I would have
seriously.
thought of it, but that is the perfect answer.
Yeah. So let me tell you this: the same mind that creates those horror stories that we tell ourselves is the same mind that creates the love stories. So are you creating horror stories out of your life, or are you creating love stories? And if you are creating horror stories, because we all are, because our whole left side of the brain is constantly just memory in the past, it's just how the brain functions. That's just
Mhm.
the way it is. So you have to mantra. Mon means mind, and tra is like transportation. You have to mantra. You have to put the good stuff in. Who the do that? Can we teach people that in grade 4, please?
Right? Or
Right? You
even
have to put the
earlier.
good. Yeah. So when I was doing my healing, I wrote out all of this. You are not what happened to you. You are destiny. Um, so when I was going through my transformation, I wrote out all those things. I wrote out that I was fat. I wrote out that I was ugly. I wrote out that universities wouldn't take girls like me. I wrote out that I was trash. I wrote out that I was garbage. But in the next column beside it, I wrote out that I'm a child of God, that I have a loving heart, that I want to heal the world, that I have so much love to give. So
Mhm.
yes, I have some stories, but I also have the other stories. And now I just, I just pick love all the time. I really do, like in every moment. I really, really,
I love
that's my goal. It's why I'm here.
yeah. And I feel like we just came full circle because you started with you are love, and then we've come back to that you spread love. So on that note, let's talk about what you've written because we've come full circle and I think
Um,
that's beautiful. I think it's so
you know
beautiful.
what? Because when I'm writing, I really try to be in that state where my vibration is love, and that every word, like that's what I want to leave in the world. I
Yeah.
know what it feels like to suffer. I really do. Like, really, I
Yes.
do.
Yeah.
And I have every reason to be pissed off or whatever,
Mhm.
but I won't. I won't send a nasty text if I want to. I'll wait and transform it. I'm not putting that vibration out into the world, and because love is stronger than death. And
Mhm.
I learned that. I held people's hands crossing over, and there's peace, and there's love, and I found it too. So I wrote No Matter How Dark the Stain. It's poems and
Hold it up a
inspiration.
little higher.
It's poems and inspiration for the woman in pain. Yeah, not good on camera, but
Oh,
there it
that's
is.
okay. That was your first one,
It's
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because that
And
one was the
then
one that you were promoting when we first met.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
I
then
remember.
so then Deeper Days came out, and Deeper Days is Yoga-spirations 365 for Inner Calm Amidst Chaos. So just like we talked about, like if you just make your morning coffee, like these are simple things, but practice your mantra today as a tool for life. If you can remember one thought a day, then you have a space where you can come from a more creative part of yourself and less just reactive, right?
Yeah.
And I found daily practice was one of the biggest things that transformed me, like A Course in Miracles, doing something every day spiritually to change my thoughts. I did it for 3 years because I felt I was a little behind because of all the things that happened to me, and the way I understand it takes a longer time for me.
Mhm.
But I wrote this for people to bring all of my yoga wisdom from all of my teachers into something so simple as reading. Who's reading a book these days? It's really hard, right? The attention span is so much smaller.
Right? I
Even
know
to
there's
edit a book,
oh, I hate
yeah.
editing. Oh, I hate editing.
Oh my God, get me away from editing. It's so important. But anyway, this is perception and perspective are fluid, like just one thought a day. But once you can hold one, then you can hold two, and you can hold three. And then there's a space there. for meditation or for yoga practice. Because if you're holding your pose thinking, what is for dinner? Who's making, like, that's not
That's
yoga.
usually me.
Right?
Oh,
So
it is
far,
so
so
hard
far.
to shut my brain off. I know I've gotten better at it over the practice, but when I first started,
It's a
oh,
practice. That's it. It's not a perfect. It's just a practice. It's just like going to the gym and lifting a barbell and doing
yeah,
one bicep curl. You're not going to get it. It'll probably be really shitty and you'll be sore. But if you
right.
keep doing it, you'll have a little bicep.
Yeah.
So deeper days, that's the second one, like Inner Calm
Yeah.
Amidst Chaos. And what I found out is that when you're calm, there's stillness. And my third book is Stillness in the Storm.
Ah,
And it's
very nice.
a conscious daily journal of yoga and spiritual healing. So it's like me talking in my yoga studio. There's 8 classes of like me talking. So you can read it to your friend or you can just do it at home. But also, here's the best part. You're going to love this part. There's like blank pages. Because you can write stuff. And when you write stuff, you are creating space in your mind. And inside all of us is love, peace, kindness, and compassion. It's just a matter of navigating, taming the monkey mind, and kind of watering those seeds of compassion that are inside all of us. And so I had to have some blank lines. And today I'm publishing a journal called Shining Light Through Darkness to go with no matter how dark the stain. Yes, and you helped me with the front thing of this journal belongs to. I'm going to publish that today, and it's Shining Light Through Darkness, because all of these poems were written in a little cute journal, and then I published it for other people. And so having a journal that's really cute on your table and a nice cute pen,
right?
Like some cute little pens, is like the best thing ever to like keep writing. I have so many. Some aren't functional, but they're really pretty and they inspire me to write.
I know. I totally have some of those too.
Yeah.
I think all good writers do.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hopefully.
I'm so excited. That's awesome. So what are you working on, a 4th book? What's happening?
So I have my 4th book. It was on my living room floor. Now it's in my bedroom. I typed up the first chapter, but it's a book on devotion and a book on prayer, because actually now the question you asked, the answer has come. It's like, I prayed for a lot of years. I didn't kind of know where to go after the being dumped on the curb, but there was a church at the end of the street. And I did pop in there and sit in the pews for a long time. And I was like, like there's got to be something, right? And my nonna was Italian and she took me to church when I was little. And I crawled my ass in there and I was like, because I needed something and I didn't know what it was. And so prayer was a big part. And I wrote them out. It was like my process. I wrote them out for years and years, and I was really dedicated to it. And that's a part of yoga, is being devotion and kind of nurturing your craft and things like that. And that's what my next book of like words is about. It's those prayers that I wrote out, because they got me here to have this conversation. So I think that's important too. So that's the next book.
Exciting.
Yeah, it's all written. It's all written because I write in journals. It's all written. It's just a matter of like typing it all up. But today being 7/7, I want to have that journal out, shining light on darkness. So
Oh, that's exciting. Oh,
my birthday goal.
That's exciting.
This show and the journal is my birthday goal.
Oh, I'm so excited. I got to be one of the birthday goals.
And you're a part of the other one too, which is so beautiful.
It's true. That's kind of funny. Yeah. I'm so happy for you.
Oh my goodness. I feel the same about you. I feel the same.
So thank you so much for coming on the show, and definitely have to come back on. Maybe not take so long, and it's totally my fault. 100% my fault.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Because you would keep asking me, I'm like, yes, but you would ask me when the calendar would be full. I'm like, okay, I'll remember this. And you think I remember?
No, it was my fault because I didn't know how to fill out the questionnaire online, and I'm not technical. So
we did have some technical stuff. That's true.
Yeah. So I think everything is just worked out beautiful, which usually happens.
It's true. Everything happens for a reason, I believe. So this show was meant to be recorded now and meant to be published at this time for a certain person out there who is listening to it. We just don't know it, but that's okay. We don't need to know it.
We don't need to know it, but they need to know that their destiny, that they're loved, and that they have the power within them to heal themselves no matter what has happened.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you too. Thank you.
As always, thank you so much for the amazing guests that we have on the show. Be sure to check out their links down in the description below. If you want to support the channel, go ahead and check out our merch store. We've got some very cool things on there. That's my favorite. Sorry, I'm busy ending the stigma. But there's some other very cool designs. 10% of the proceeds always goes back to the Canadian Mental Health Association. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at RB Media because we have some great new shows coming up and you never want to miss any of those episodes. And remember, the only way to end the stigma of mental health is to speak openly and honestly. Bye.